In 1966, the Beatles put out a track that blended rock, soul, and a touch of psychedelia. The song Got to Get You Into My Life appeared on their groundbreaking album Revolver. Although credited to Lennon and McCartney, this song was primarily penned by Paul, whose inspiration for the song was not what most people thought at the time. Have you ever wondered what really inspired this Beatles tune? Was it simply a love song?
It was something that entered our lives, and I thought it would be a good idea to write a song. Many years later, I told people what it was about, but when we made the record, it was just, I was alone, I took a ride, I didn't know what I would find there.
The song's rich, colorful brass instrumentation and its soulful vibe captured the spirit of the Motown sound that the Beatles looked up to. Yet beneath its melody and lively arrangement lay a deeper, more daring inspiration. Picture this. It's the mid-60s, a time when rock and roll was exploding and boundaries were meant to be broken. The Beatles, already dominating the music scene, were known not only for their infectious melodies, but also for their curiosity and willingness to experiment. At first glance, Got to Get You Into My Life might sound like a sweet, straightforward love song, but beneath those smooth vocal harmonies and bright brass lies a cheeky secret. McCartney revealed that the creative spark for this tune was, in fact, his first brush with marijuana.
So this song is my ode to pot. Until we happened upon marijuana, we'd been drinking men. We were introduced to grass when we were in the US, and it blew our tiny little minds.
The Beatles were introduced to cannabis by another music legend who showed up at their hotel suite during their summer of '64 US tour. It was none other than Bob Dylan. Dylan turned up with his roadie, the kind of guy who was more than a roadie. There was drinking as usual. Scotch, Coke, and French wine were ordered from room service, and then Dylan disappeared into a back room with John and Ringo, as Paul recalls.
We thought maybe he'd gone to the toilet, but then Ringo came out of that back room looking a bit strange. He said, "I've just been with Bob, and he's got some pot," or whatever you called it then. And we said, "Oh, what's it like?" And he said, "Well, the ceiling is sort of moving. It's sort of coming down," and that was enough.
Dylan lit up more than just a cigarette that night. With a mischievous smile and a wink, he handed over a joint, sparking a moment of true revelation for the Fab Four. It was Brian Epstein, the Beatles manager, who admitted they've never smoked before. But what about your song? The one about getting high? Which song? John asked. You know. The one that says, "And when I touch you, I get high, I get high." Dylan was confusing the lyrics of "I Want to Hold Your Hand." "Those aren't the words, Bob," said Lennon. The Beatles spent the next few hours in hilarity. They giggled, laughed uncontrollably, and chased each other across the hotel room, all observed with amusement by Dylan.
We thought, wow, this is pretty amazing, this stuff. And so it became part of our repertoire from then on.
Recorded between April and June 1966 at Abbey Road Studios, Got to Get You Into My Life underwent a remarkable evolution. Early takes featured the gentle sounds of a harmonium and acoustic guitar, even including a partly a cappella section where McCartney, Lennon, and Harrison sang.
I need your love, I need your love, I need your love, I need your love into my life.
The breakthrough came with the introduction of a soul-style horn section, a nod to the Motown sounds that had always inspired Paul. The Beatles embraced this new arrangement. The brass, carefully close-mic'd and treated with studio effects, transformed the track into the energetic R&B-styled shouter that audiences would soon adore.
Got to get you into my life.
The song opens with a brass fanfare, setting an electrifying tone where the personified weed is introduced much like royalty.
I was alone, I took a ride, I didn't know what I would find there.
McCartney's vocals burst in, drawing listeners into his first encounter with something that has unlocked a part of his mind.
Another road where maybe I could see another kind of mind there.
What follows is a declaration of unconditional love to cannabis.
Ooh, did I tell you I need you every single day of my life?
In the chorus, bearing the song's title, Paul welcomes his new inspiring habit with infectious energy.
Got to get you into my life.
These lyrics have resonated over and over throughout Paul McCartney's life and in his journey with marijuana. He made his attitude about cannabis public in 1967 when he added his name to an advertisement in The Times, which called for its legalization, the release of those imprisoned for possession, and research into marijuana's medical uses. He financed the ad himself. Paul faced multiple charges for cannabis possession through his life. In 1972, a Swedish court fined McCartney £1,000 for cannabis possession. Soon after, Scottish police found marijuana plants growing on his farm, leading to his 1973 conviction for illegal cultivation and a £100 fine. When Paul was asked about this by the media, he rolled out an outrageous defense.
And we didn't know what they were, you know, we kind of planted them all, and five of them came up illegal.
But his most infamous brush with drug laws was that time in 1980 when Wings flew to Tokyo for a tour of Japan, and customs officials found approximately 8 ounces of cannabis in his luggage. He was arrested, taken to a local jail while the Japanese government decided what to do.
I look back on that now and I can see the guy opening my suitcase, and right on the top is this big bag of grass. And, you know, I didn't even put it in a sweater or hide it. I think I was just stupid, and I paid the penalty.
After 10 days, they released and deported him without charge. Paul has consistently been outspoken and candid about his views on cannabis, frequently challenging both the press and the public.
This, I'm telling you, this substance, cannabis, is a whole lot less harmful than rum punch, whiskey, nicotine, and glue, all of which are perfectly legal.
What about your children? What about your children?
I would like
Paul?
to see it decriminalized.
In 2015, he finally gave up cannabis at the age of 72, citing a desire to set a good example for his grandchildren. But he never gave up on that joyful burst of soul-infused rock that radiates from "Got to Get You Into My Life." Paul McCartney is still rocking this great Beatles tune today, as he has for almost 60 years. It all started with Bob Dylan sharing a joint in that hotel room with the Beatles, and Paul turning that initial puff into a celebration and a nod to a groundbreaking shift in his life.
What we had to get into our lives, it seems, was marijuana.